Sweet 16 time of the 2025 March Madness tournament, and now I have a chance to redeem myself because my bracket hasn't been the greatest so far. My best bracket out there, I do have a couple, is around 70%. And that's not really great just because there's so many people that I know that have brackets in the 90 percentiles, 98%, 99%. Because this year has been kind of chalky, right? Like, we're in the Sweet 16. You have 1 and 4, the highest seeds playing over there in the East region. You do have 2 and 6. BYU was a little bit of an upset team so far. Same with Ole Miss getting through UNC and Iowa State, but you have Auburn and Michigan. I think more people probably had Michigan making it if they didn't already have like UC San Diego. I know I had Yale winning in the round of 64 as well. And then over in the West region, like, you have 1-seeded Florida, 4-seeded Maryland, 3-seeded Texas Tech versus 10-seeded Arkansas, a little bit of an upset. And then you have a 1-4, 2-3 matchup in the Midwest region. So if you took all favorites, you would be sitting pretty favorably right now. Now, I don't know if your bracket does a chance where you take an upset, you get a little bit more points than if you just pick a favorite, but I'm going to try to redeem myself as we don't have many games left, right? Like, we have about 16 games left. Or no, we have about 8 games here, and then we're going to have 4 in the Elite 8. And then we got, we don't have many games left here, March Madness. And then we got that Final Four Saturday, April 5th, and then Monday, April 7th in San Antonio. So I'm going to try to go through this and give an updated bracket for you guys. And yeah, let me know what you guys think your Final Four is going to be. Is anything changed? Or do you think there is going to be a chance of you kind of maybe changing your mind throughout this? So first, we'll talk about is between Auburn and Michigan. Auburn did just beat Creighton. That game was a little bit closer than people thought it could end up being. I liked Louisville at the start, and of course they lose in the first game, at least when I made my video on the Srosh channel. And then I went heavy Creighton before the tournament did start because I was like, who's going to guard Kalkbrenner? Jemiah Neal played so well throughout that Big East tournament. And Auburn, yeah, like, they beat Creighton, which was a nice win for them. They ended up winning 82-70, and they're kind of rolling right now. Going up against Michigan, it was a good game against A&M. They were down a little bit in the first half, and then they pulled away in the second. I love the double bigs of Golden and Wolf, and Wolf has had his good games and his bad games so far, and I'm really intrigued to see how Auburn matches up with them. I think Auburn's going to win. Still, I know it's kind of chalky, but they are the number 1 overall seed for a reason. Maybe I don't think they're the best team in the country, but they're still really good. I think they're going to beat Michigan. And Ole Miss, Michigan State, I mean, a lot of people before the bracket started were telling me, Matt, like, teams that are not ranked in the preseason 25 don't make it far in the tournament. And they were like, that's why you should not be on St. John's after the round of 32. Definitely not after the Sweet 16. And I think being from New York and like going to St. John's games growing up, I just wanted to see them go on a run. I know their shooting wasn't great. I know their offense is hit or miss, but yeah, it is unfortunate they lost to Arkansas and they got sent home, the highest seed to get sent home so far. I do think Michigan State is going to win. I mean, they won last game against New Mexico. Donovan Dent got off to a really good start, and that was a good game in the first half, and then Michigan State kind of pulled away there in the second. And Jace Richardson did not shoot the ball well in this game. He ended up going 1 of 10 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3. Jaden Atkins played great in this game. And then you had Trey Hallman off the bench and Frankie Fiddler, who both got in the double digits. But Donovan Dent did kind of all he could. He took 18 shots, and it would have been a nice upset. I like New Mexico as well. I mean, Ole Miss is a team I've just kind of been fading and been wrong about. I liked either San Diego State or UNC to beat them. And then I thought if they were able to pull off that upset, because, I mean, the betting or the Vegas odds really liked UNC in that one, they were going to lose to Iowa State. And here they are. I think if there's a better chance, I don't think it's a hot take to say there's a better chance Ole Miss beats Michigan State than Michigan beating Auburn. I kind of want to take Ole Miss just because they've impressed me so much so far, and they got up to that early lead against UNC to start things off. And they ended up beating Iowa State by double digits. Do I ride the Rebels here? I may. Sean Padula has been playing very well. Jermaine Brakefield, I always forget where he started, right? Because I don't think he started at Ole Miss. He started at Duke. Yeah, that's why I remember him. And then he's been at Ole Miss for a while. There was a graphic where it was every team's starting 5 and where they started at college. And the only team that I think it was all 5 guys was Purdue. And then next closest, Duke had 4 players. I think Sion James is the Tulane guy. But you know what? We're going to go back. I don't want to get upset heavy because I love upsets, and we haven't really had a lot so far. But I am going to take Ole Miss, and we're going to have an SEC Elite 8 in the top left. Auburn versus Ole Miss. Now let's go to the East region. And I tweeted it out after they dominated Baylor in that second half. I just can't see Duke losing. Now, I don't know if that's going to spoil what I have. But the way Tyrese Proctor has been playing, and you're getting like nothing out of Isaiah Evans so far, and Cooper Flagg is back fully healthy into the swing of things, and they blow out Baylor by 23. Like, it's such an impressive win. 47 points in the first half. Tyrese Proctor couldn't miss in that game, and you're getting still such good defense out of Kaman and Sion James and Mason Gillis. And just like, I don't know, this team is so deep, and if somebody gets into foul trouble, they're going to be fine moving forward. So yeah, I'm going to ride Duke to beat Arizona, a team that, I mean, it would be kind of fitting if Caleb Love started off his college career at UNC. They beat Duke in the Final Four that year in 2022. He leaves, and now he has a chance to knock out Duke again. He played great against Oregon. I thought Oregon was going to win that game, but I do think they're going to lose here. But I want to keep an eye on Carter Bryant because he had a really good start to the tournament. Maybe not the best game against Oregon, but I'm excited to watch him here against Duke, where we're going to have a lot of NBA caliber prospects on display. Next up, you got BYU, Alabama. I've been back and forth with Alabama if I wanted to kind of fade them or not. I worried about like maybe their lack of size. How like are they going to look if LeBaron Philon isn't fully in the mix? Is Mark Sears going to hit his shots or not? I liked St. Mary's to beat them, and it was close to start off the game. But towards the end of the first half, Alabama really pulled away, and they ended up winning by 14 in this one. I thought St. Mary's was going to be able to slow it down a little bit, and then Alabama's just another team that is super deep, and it's going to be tough to bet against them. But BYU, a team that I liked a lot, but I was just like, I like VCU as that 11-6 upset more. And I also liked Wisconsin a ton. Like, if BYU was the Ole Miss 6 seed, I would have had them easily in the Elite Eight. If they were the 6 seed, instead of Illinois, I probably would have had them at least in the Sweet 16. And then if they were the 6 seed, I don't know if I would have taken them over Drake, because I do like Drake. But yeah, BYU has been incredibly impressive so far. And there could be an upset here. Like I said, I don't want to take too many upsets. If I'm taking 6-seeded Ole Miss, I mean, BYU plays such good defense. And Yegor Demon had a very good game in his last one against Wisconsin. I liked Wisconsin. They just got off it. Like, Tanjay got off a terrible shot there at the end of the game. I thought Wisconsin was going to pull off some type of upset. Damn, he had 14 free throws, Tanjay, in that game. Oh, yeah, like Richie Saunders, man. He's just a gamer. He plays hard. I mean, Yegor's shot is still hit or miss, but it's like he's the most intriguing NBA prospect. But Keita's such a dominant guy inside. Oh man, I kind of want to take BYU here. And then I think I'm going to go back. I don't know. We're going to see how the bottom looks here. It's a little bit more chalky in a way. But you know, I'm like a sucker for some upsets, man. I really am. So one of the toughest matchups here, I think Maryland should have been better than a 4 seed. And oh my God, that Colorado State game was so entertaining. And they showed the replay of some of their buzzer beater losses. I forget the other one. I think it was the first one this year, but their buzzer beater loss against Michigan State on the half-court game winner against Michigan in the Big Ten tournament. And then Nick Clifford passes it out. Colorado State knocks down a 3 with a little bit of time left. And then Derek Queen ends up getting the game-winning bucket. And I think by technicality, it was a travel, but I am so happy they were never calling a travel in that spot. Imagine being a ref and calling a travel there when it's not clear as day whatsoever, and you're wrong or something. Like, that would just be an absolute disaster. They never call it there, and Derek Queen hits an absolute insane shot. The freshman, the confidence, the ability to, like, make a guard-type move and then throw it off the glass there for the win. And it was nice to see Maryland on the other end of a buzzer beater. But Nick Clifford had an incredible tournament and really helped out his draft stock throughout the end of Mountain West play, throughout that conference tournament, and throughout March Madness. In Florida, a very entertaining game against UConn. If UConn pulled off that upset, man, Dan Early is just kind of the best coach in college basketball. And I still think he is right now just because he won the last 2 national championships. And I'm interested to see how UConn looks next year, because they lost a lot of guys last year. Are they going to lose Caravan and McNeely this year? We'll see what they end up doing. I think Aiden Mahaney was a little bit of a disappointing transfer for them. And Florida was just so good. And Walter Clayton hits big-time shots. Elijah Martin coming over from FAU, and is just also another gamer on the floor on both ends. And then they have the bigs, and Alex Condon didn't even have a great game, and they still won by 2. If there is a chance for an upset, it really is here. I like Florida. I'm very high on Florida, and it's chalky to have another 1 seed there in the Elite Eight, but I just think Maryland gets a bad matchup. And if Gillespie's not on, we'll see how Reese is going to look. He had some big-time free throws, too. Texas Tech, Arkansas. All right. Am I going to ride the SEC here? I think so. I think Arkansas is peaking at the right time, and they were not a pleasant watch all year long, and they were so inconsistent in the SEC. But Calipari is getting the best out of this team. And DJ Wagner has been playing, I wouldn't say a little bit better, but you got Boogie Flan back, which is huge. And he didn't even have a great game against St. John's. But John L. Davis has been playing better. Adu Thero, who didn't play in this game. But you're getting I mean, yeah, Duthero not playing in this game and still winning. Very impressive. And then you got Carter Knox, who is kind of breaking out for this team and is now maybe emerging as like the top guy on this team next year, which can help out his 2026 draft stock. And going up against the St. John's defense is incredibly impressive. And scoring, 75 points against them? It was great. And they weren't getting really favorable foul calls in that one. And then you got Texas Tech, who I think has been kind of underrated throughout the tournament. I like them a little bit to go. Like, I predicted them to go to the Sweet 16, but to lose to St. John's. I mean, they had a nice, impressive win over UNC Wilmington and Drake, but this is definitely by far the toughest team they've faced so far. Just Darian Williams and JT Toppin, maybe the best offensive duo, or one of the best offensive duos in all of college basketball right now. I think I'm going to go Tech. I think, like, who's going to stop JT Toppin inside, right? Like, is Zvonimir Visic going to really play notable minutes for this team as the big, or Trayvon Brazil? I do think JT Toppin could have himself another one. And yeah, I'm going to have Texas Tech because I just see the lower seed. I'm like, you know what? If they're a little bit respectable, I like the upset. Midwest, I think Houston beats Purdue. Honestly, I didn't think Purdue was really going to beat High Point to start things off, and High Point kind of shot themselves in their own feet there to lose. And then they beat McNeese. Like, I think it's similar to Texas Tech. They haven't played like a really good team so far. No disrespect to McNeese and High Point, but Houston is in a completely different tier. And Houston had one of the more impressive wins. Not really like I think making it too close than it should have been against Gonzaga. Gonzaga came back towards the end of it. Don't get me wrong, but I think Gonzaga is a better team than Purdue. And then Kentucky, Tennessee. I know Kentucky has an injury, and I know Tennessee's been great all year, but Kentucky's beat them twice. And Kobe Brea has really helped out his draft stock as well. So I'm going to take Kentucky to beat Tennessee for the third time this year, but I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if Tennessee advanced. So I have a 1-6 SEC matchup in the South. We have Duke, BYU in the Elite Eight. I have Houston, Kentucky in the Midwest. And then I have Florida, Texas Tech there in the Final Four. So I have 4 SEC teams remaining, 1 ACC, 3 Big 12 teams remaining. Shout out to the Big 12 going far. So let's figure out who I have going to the Final Four. And here we go. The Final Four advancement. Who's going to go to it? I think Auburn beats Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss, like, an incredible tournament run, and they got off to a really good start last year in college basketball. And I thought maybe this year, like, they were going to be at the bottom of the SEC. And I just didn't really respect them this year. And I think them going to the Elite Eight and having a chance to upset Auburn, who I think is definitely beatable for sure. Like, it could be very impressive. I don't know who matches up better against Auburn, if it's going to be Ole Miss or Michigan State. I think maybe Michigan with their size could be the toughest matchup for Auburn, and it gets a little bit easier in the Elite Eight. So I think they're going to go to the Final Four. I think it's going to be chalky, man. I do. I think Duke's going to beat BYU. I just like the way Tyrese Proctor's been playing, and I don't even think we're seeing the best of Cooper Flagg yet. The defense, the size inside, just the overall team defense is incredible, and I just can't see Duke losing to BYU. And I think BYU has been underappreciated all year. I remember there was a game back, I want to say it was in January or February, and it was like before I was fully off the Kansas wagon. It was Kansas BYU, and Kansas was like a tiny bit of an underdog. I'm like, I'm all over Kansas in this one. And BYU just smacked them. And I think from ever like that point, I was like, I'm going to respect BYU a ton this year. And I was watching more of like Richie Saunders and Keita. And it's not just Yegor Demon, who's like the more intriguing draft prospect. And then you also have Canyon Catchings, who's going to be a big part of that team next year. I think BYU can put up a better fight against Duke than Arizona. I mean, Duke, Alabama in the Sweet 16, or excuse me, in the Elite Eight would be cinema for sure. Down here, I like Kentucky to beat Houston. I do. I've been high on Kentucky all year long. This is different from a Calipari team. This is a Mark Pope team, and I think they had a nice convincing win over Illinois, and they just have so many guys that could score between Amari Williams and Otega Owe and Kobe Brea and Lamont Butler, even Andrew Carr. I mean, didn't have a great game against Illinois, but this is a deep team. I don't know how much you can really rely on their bench, but that is a very good 1 through 5 of Carr, Williams, Owe, Brea, and Lamont Butler. And if they don't get into foul trouble, I think they could beat Houston, who I think I should respect more. I like Gonzaga to beat Houston. I definitely like Houston to beat Purdue. Like I said, I think Gonzaga is a better team than Purdue. But I am not totally shocked if we had an all 1 seed Final Four. I think it's been as chalky as it's been in the past. I think Houston kind of got dealt a tough bracket. I think Auburn, I like maybe the least out of all the 1 seeds. I just think the competition isn't as good. Like, I don't know why, but I like Kentucky more than Michigan State. I like Tennessee more than Michigan State. and Michigan and Ole Miss and even Iowa State when they were still in it. I just think that, and like that's a benefit of getting the overall 1 seed, maybe in a way. So I think if Auburn gets past Michigan, they're going to end up in the Final Four. And I do think Florida, either they go up against Texas Tech or Arkansas, they're going to advance as well. I think Maryland could also be the toughest test for Florida with their size and their shooting. But I think Texas Tech, like I mentioned before with Darren Williams and JC Toppin, and that could easily be an upset spot. And I wouldn't be totally shocked if it's a Maryland Texas Tech Elite Eight. But I do think we're going to get three 1 seeds in the Final Four, and one of them is going to be a 3-seeded Kentucky team, and then we have Duke in the ACC. So I think nothing has really changed for me since the 2 teams I like the most in my initial bracket. I do think Duke beats Kentucky. I mean, like I said, Kentucky can score in all facets. We'll see how good their shooting is going to be against Tennessee. Like, that's a tough test, man. Like, this is a tough road for Kentucky. Like, beating Illinois, and then you got to beat Tennessee, maybe beat Houston, and then to beat Duke. I just think it's going to run out a little bit for them. And I think you easily take an Elite Eight appearance if they make it there, a Final Four appearance if they make it there for Mark Pope this year and the Kentucky Wildcats. And then over on the other side, Auburn, Florida. I've liked Florida a ton. They peaked at the right time this year towards the end of the SEC season. They win the SEC, the best conference this year. Walter Clayton has been playing one of the best players in all of college basketball. Like, he's in that tier right now of Cooper Flagg and Janai Broome and JT Toppin, and some of these guys that have been carrying their teams all year long, and Chaz Lanier, and Derek Queen. And then, Duke, Florida, man, in the national title game. Come on, now you watch versus Alex Condon, Elijah Martin, maybe get to be guarding Cooper Flagg. Oh my God, this is such a good matchup. But I've said it like for a while now. I don't think anybody beats Duke. If they're fully healthy, they have the depth, they have the shooting, they have the defense, they have the playmaking, the ball handling, where I think they can go and win it all, man. They've been one of the best teams since conference play started. But they had that one Clemson loss. That was their last loss, basically. They win the ACC tournament. I know it's not the best conference in the world, but then they end up here in the Final Four. I just like, I like them a ton against Zona, Bama, and BYU. Maybe Arizona gets into one of those shooting games. But are we going to get Caleb Love, who shot how well against Oregon in this game? I like Shellstad and Biddle and Bamba and Bartholomew. But yeah, Caleb Love, 10 of 18 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3, perfect from the free throw line. That's the Caleb Love experience. But we're going to also get maybe a bad shooting night from Caleb Love, and then who else is going to step up offensively for this team? Because you know you're going to get good defense out of KJ Lewis, but he's another inconsistent offensive player for them. Did Trey Townsend come from Oakland? Am I remembering that? Yeah, he was on that team with like Jack Gogley, but not as popular because he didn't shoot the lights out against Kentucky in that game. So yeah, I do have Duke beating Florida. I don't think really that's changed for me too much. Like I said, it's been kind of a chalky bracket this year. You guys can let me know what you think down below on the YouTube comments, or let me know on Twitter or in the Spotify comments as well. Do you still see it being multiple 1 seeds in the Final Four? And I just, man, the outrage that's going to happen online if it's all 1 seeds in the Final Four, and people are going to be like, NIL, the transfer portal is ruining the game. But Duke, like, they've gotten some transfers, but a lot of their team is in-house and through recruiting from high school, and they lost some guys as well. Like, you still have Caleb Foster. They lost Jeremy Roach to Baylor, who they just beat. Auburn has gotten some guys outside. Same with Florida. And definitely same with Kentucky. So yeah, you guys can let me know what you think down below. What do you think your Final Four is going to end up being? And do you see maybe an upsetted team, or like a big upset? Like, what's your lowest seed remaining that you think can go to the Final Four? Do you think Arkansas can make a run? Do you think it's going to be Kentucky? Do you think it could be BYU? Do you think it could be Ole Miss or Michigan or Maryland? Let me know. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.